Hi, I'm Kara Sowles. I'm one of the co-organizers of the Python Maintainers Summit at PyCon US this year. I work over at GitHub and my work centers on open source maintainers, so it's a delight to be back again helping to organize this.
Hi everyone, I'm Leah Wasser. I am the executive director and founder of PyOpenSci, which is an organization focused on supporting open source maintainers in the scientific Python ecosystem. And I am one of the co-organizers this year for the Maintainer Summit at PyCon US.
I'm Inessa Pawson. I've been an active contributor to the Python ecosystem for over 6 years, mostly working on Python libraries and community projects that support scientific research. I currently work at Open Teams as Open Source Program Manager. This is my 5th year as an organizer of the Maintainers Summit at PyCon US. We all know that Python is much more than a programming language. It is a vibrant community made up of individuals with diverse skills and backgrounds. The Maintainers Summit at PyCon US is where the Python community comes together to discuss and foster best practices on how to develop sustainable projects and nurture thriving communities. This year, the summit will be held on the first day of the main conference, Friday, May 17th. It's a full day in-person event. We will start at 11 in the morning, soon after the opening keynote. The program will include a mix of talks and roundtable discussions. 2024 marks the 6th year of the Maintainer Summit at PyCon US. The first summit was organized by Jackie Castle and Shawna Gordon-McKeon in 2019. I joined as an organizer in 2020 when Jackie posted a call for new organizers on PyLadies Global Slack. In 2020, my co-organizers were Cooper Lees and the late Caroline Dantas, a prominent member of the Brazilian Python community. Her energy and passion for this community are dearly missed. Alex de Siqueira was my co-organizer for the 2021 and 2022 summits. And last year, we were joined by Abigail Kabunok-Mays and Cara Sowles Delos. Also last year, the Maintainer Summit Org Committee had two babies. Alex in Brazil and Abigail in Canada welcomed new additions to their families. So they had to step away from organizing the summit this year. And now we have two new organizers, Leah Wasser and Chris Rose.
So in terms of the topics that we're going to be talking about, we've kind of got a good spread that we're looking at this year. Some of the ideas to start thinking about, especially if you're thinking about attending or thinking about submitting a talk, would be, first of all, I think technology. What kind of tools and techniques have helped you kind of maintain and advance your project? And what challenges still remain that haven't been addressed? Because this is a good time to bring that up. Community, what have the biggest challenges been in growing your project's community? Have you had success retaining contributors, stuff like that? Resources is a big one. So have you been able to find the resources that you need? Those resources could be financial, they could be volunteer recruitment, they could be legal advice, anything like that. But, and if you haven't found those resources, kind of coming together to learn more about where to access those. And then, we say wildcard, but any topic related to Python project maintenance. But if you're hearing about this and the Maintainer Summit kind of piques your interest, I would say, put that aside for a second. What comes to your mind first for what you want to talk about around project maintenance? Bring that to the table. That's exactly what we want.
Last year was actually my first PyCon US ever, and also my first Maintainer Summit. And I was honored to be able to give a talk at the Maintainer Summit. And the talks last year were really interesting. There was a lot of discussion around, or presentations around, DEIA and inclusivity in open source, contributing to open source.
Governance, project governance, which affects really, honestly, every aspect of what a project does on some level or another. We talked a lot about making a living in open source. Is that possible? How is it possible? How is it working for folks?
My talk was focused on packaging challenges in open source in Python specifically.
And then we had conversations around the contributor experience. What is the experience of contributors who come to your project? What do you want that experience to be like, and how do you kind of shape that?
One of the discussions that I enjoyed the most was definitely around sustainability and how do you keep supporting a project and maintainers that have jobs and they're trying to figure out how to balance their work with this somewhat volunteer position that's so critical to our communities.
I'd like to learn more about projects and communities that are creating shared resources and infrastructure. Funding is an important piece in open source sustainability, but not the only one.
There's a broader effort for May to celebrate Maintainer Month, kind of across the industry. And so this falls very nicely within Maintainer May. And the themes that we're thinking about for Maintainer Month in general this year is kind of rediscovering the like joy and creative spark in open source project creation and maintenance. So, plenty of us are kind of tired. We're a little crispy, this year. And how do we find our way back to the things that really made this an act of joy for us? And so I do really encourage folks to think about how do you come talk about the parts that honestly that you love, that you wake up and you're like, yeah, no, you know what? I actually do really want to go work on that. Like, what makes you feel that way?
I'm really interested in some of the pain points that maintainers are facing in both building their tools and maintaining them. So specifically related to what I talked about last year around packaging, there's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of things where we might be able to do some work to ease and smooth out some of those pain points.
If you're a maintainer, a project leader, a community manager, an active contributor, an open source researcher, a user of open source who is interested in contributing, or simply curious about the making of open source, everyone is welcome. And bring your friends and colleagues too.
If you're thinking about coming, but you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I fit into this group, I'm not a maintainer per se, I have to tell you that the discussions were phenomenal. And my favorite part, the talks were wonderful. But my absolute favorite part of attending the summit last year were the roundtable discussions. I met so many different people, and actually some of those people today are still colleagues and collaborators of mine.
When people talk about why they love PyCon, they talk about how it's community organized and community focused, how inclusive it is, like how it really genuinely feels like a whole community of people who are just excited about what they're working on, coming together and hanging out and geeking out. And we want you to know the Maintainer Summit is the same way. So, like Leah said, whoever you are, it's community organized. We're just there to hang out and share ideas. So come join us.
So if you're registering for PyCon US and you want to attend the summit, you can go ahead and register for the summit while you're registering for PyCon US. But if you've already registered for PyCon US, took advantage of that early bird discount, that's fine too, don't worry. You can go back in, log in to the same location where you registered for PyCon and just add the Maintainer Summit to your list of activities. So we really hope to see you there.
If you're heading to PyCon US 2024, remember to put the Maintainer Summit on your calendar. If you'd like to share your thoughts with our audience, the call for proposals is open until March 25th. Talk proposals from first-time speakers and Pythonistas from the underrepresented groups are strongly encouraged. Submissions from online conference attendees are also welcome. If you have any questions or suggestions for this year's summit, please reach out.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Excited to see you at PyCon US 2024.
We will see you at PyCon US 2024.
See you at PyCon US.